Howdy folks and welcome to 15 Nautical Mile Arc. I'm very excited today because I finally have time to fly from Denver to Minneapolis. And I've been wanting to fly this for, oh my gosh, 6 years I think I've been wanting to fly this in a flight sim. I just haven't had the time to dedicate 2 hours of flight time plus, taxiing and landing and all that stuff. So I finally have the time. We're finally going to do this. Of course, you're watching the edited down version, so your video is not going to be 3 hours long, but that's about how long I plan on sitting here between flight time and everything else. So we're at Denver Gate Alpha 30, and it looks like we got some static aircraft parked around us. And let's swing around here and see what we got. All right, so we're at the end of the terminal. We're going to take off on 34 left, so we're going to go straight out there by that white water gas tank tower thing and take off there. And we got parking ramp. This is default airport, by the way. So your X-Plane 11 should have it as well from the senior gateway. Nice parking job there with the detail. Scattered clouds today, and it's 7 a.m. So we're going to have an early morning flight, and then we will end up in Minneapolis 2 hours from whenever we take off, whatever that's going to be. So 7, 8, 9 plus 20 minutes to get out there, about 9:25 or 9:30 I think will be arrival time. We'll have to check that on the clock and see if I'm anywhere close. I'm looking at the bigger aircraft at that other terminal, the 747 and stuff. But anyway, let's get this show on the road. So let's, actually before we do, because I have external power on, is loud inside, let's do our passengers and everything now. Pretty full flight today. Denver to Minneapolis, it'd be pretty full in real life too. So let's see if we can get this cranked up a little bit here. So we're over landing, which is fine. I did not calculate the trip distance. All right, through the magic of editing, I looked it up, and 608 nautical miles from KDEN to KMSP. And we'll do reserves for that, so we'll do an extra 100 because I'm a scaredy cat. And because that's direct and our VOR route isn't quite direct. So maybe I'm going to do more than 100. Maybe I'll do 150. So that would be about 760 something. 776. Good enough for me. I'm just recalculating that in my head. 608 plus a little bit of extra. There's no way we're going to be 150 miles out of our way using VORs. But I'm going to bump it up anyway because I'm scared. I don't want to have to crash and do this again because it took me 6 years to have time to do it the first time. I don't want to do it twice. All right, so let's close that up. And good. Now we can hop inside. It's going to be loud, just warning you, because I do have the external power turned on so people can board. I also remembered to turn on our no smoking fasten seatbelts lights right away too. I was going to have ground services come out and do stuff for us, but there are no ground services available at the airport. In case you don't know, in X-Plane 11, if you hit Shift G, you can get ground services.
Sorry, we don't have any service trucks here.
But they're not available. So, anyway, we'll put that away. All right, flying slant alpha. So we got a bunch of VORs. We got 9 VORs to do or something. And I've not practiced this flight. So if the VORs do not line up, we will be improvising on the fly. No pun intended. I'm most concerned about catching the ILS for runway 12 right in Minneapolis because I don't know if it extends out far enough for the VOR to catch that we're coming from. But I have a backup VOR just in case. So anyway, all right, what are we doing? We already did our passengers, fuel, and cargo, so we're going to come over here and turn on our battery. And we're going to trip our APU and turn our APU on. Now I must say, this is X-Plane 11, obviously, but this is the Flight Sim 727-200 Advanced version 2.1 something something something. The version he updated for X-Plane. It's the free update to the version 2 for X-Plane 11. All right, our temperature is stabilized for the APU. So now we're going to do fuel and generator to close. Right? Is that right? Man, I'm losing it. Alright, external power switch turned itself off, and it did. Come up here and do our lighting here. Logo on. Wing we can do, turn the strobe on right now. And we'll turn the rest on when we taxi if I remember. I don't need any lighting on my panels or anything. That should be fine. Emergency lights are armed. Stall warning test, we'll do that next. As I've said many times before, if you hear this, we're already in trouble. So hopefully we never hear that. What is next? Window heat. Alright, APU bleed, which is up here. Come on. And make sure cooling doors open, which they are. Brighten the panels if we need to, but we don't. We'll disconnect the air cart and GPU now. Not that one. Not that one either. Not, what am I doing? This one. Air cart. Come on. Air cart and GPU. Is it this? Oh my gosh. What is it? That one. Wow. Alright. DC meter ESSTR. Gasper fan on. Right AC pack on so people can board comfortably. Air pressure set. We are going all out today. We are going to try to hit 33,000 feet today. Landing altitude 842 feet. Whoops, that's thousands. Guess you have to go like this. There we go. Close enough. And we're going to turn the first of the 4 boosts on here. And we'll do our flight plan stuff now. You've all seen me do this on Alpha many times before, but I'll go over it just in case you're new to the channel or new to this airplane. So I always say that even though I'm general aviation 99.9% of the time, this aircraft is actually my favorite X-plane aircraft. So we're going to start out at 114.7. That's the Denver VOR. 114.7, then we'll go to 114.4. And then once we see this, we'll know we can reach 114.4. And then from there we'll go to 117.4. So the way I do this, because the sim doesn't necessarily line up with SkyVector, is our first VOR, 114.7, that's a given. We're eventually going to switch to 114.4, 40 miles out from Denver. But to make sure I can actually pick that up 40 miles out, my nav 2 is set to 114.4, and I'll see it come up on the main dash. That we can pick it up, then it's okay to change. If I get stuck in the gap, I have to use heading bug. Then after that, the next VOR is 117.4. We're not going to worry about any ADF. We'll set up ILS, obviously, when we get to the airport. Not right now. So that's all the flight plan is. We'll be cleared. Let's see. Well, we're pretty high now, aren't we? We're already 5,000 feet. I'll set this to 12.5. We don't have air traffic control. You know what? I'll just go all the way to 33. Without air traffic control, there's no use in stepping it up. Switch the mode here and get that down to 33. Alright, no smoking. The seatbelt is already on. So we'll turn on the rest of our fuel pumps. And we'll close the cooling doors, which takes a while, but fortunately I can edit this through, just like so. And now they're both closed. Turn off the AC pack so we can start this thing up. All bleed valves are open. Ground crew call button, which will give us our pushback. So the way this works now is we can come out here and we want to go out that way. So we'll turn on the ghost. We want it to go to the right. There we go. And want to be a little bit farther back, like so. Release the parking brake, which I think works now on my yoke. And there we go. Now we're going to taxi. And while we're taxiing, we can look out the window. But what we're really supposed to do is start our engines. That doesn't look like it's very stable, does it? We'll go 231 today. So there's 2. Come down here when N1 reaches 25. We Introduce fuel. I don't know why I drew a blank on that. It's not that complicated. I guess N2 reaches 25. We use N1 for keeping the engine from blowing up, which I'll talk about once we're in the air. And you can see the sun because we're starting to make our turn as we taxi. And why did the fuel sound stop? What's my thing? Is that going to work? There we go, that's weird. Alrighty, interesting. Anyway, we should watch it stabilize and we should watch the light go out. But in the interest of time, we're going to come up and start engine 3. It's neat to watch that sun like that. Fun to watch the pushback too. Oh, that's so cool. Introduce 3. Let's do engine 1. 22, 24, and 25. Introduce fuel there. And where am I on my checklists? Hydraulic A and B on, but I'm going to wait for these to stabilize first, though. So I'm going to wait till that light goes out for engine 1 before we turn on hydraulics. And we're ready to go. Turn on hydraulics. But you have to be careful. If you turn them on too soon, you won't be able to taxi. Alright. Is my parking brake set? There you go. Generator ties. Close them all. I want to get those AC packs on soon too so people don't start sweating too much. Galley power is over here. On. Both AC packs on. Cargo heat to normal. Central powers to generator. If we don't do that, we turn the APU off, we're in big trouble. AC meters are ready to bust time. Make sure there are no lights. And there are no lights, so we did something right. Fuel heat off, which it already is. Anti-ice and pitot heat. Put those on. And trip the APU and get rid of that thing. Over here. Trippy. And here to wind down. And we're still running, so everything's good. Alright, pressure switch can go from ground to flight. Temperature, we're going to warm it up a little bit. Whoops, warm it that way. Warm it up just a hair. Gas per fan can come off. And APU bleed closed. And then we're going to come back over here. Will this one let me see it? Yep, turn on this guy. Traffic and weather. We're going to check our speed bugs now. Take off at 20-degree flaps. At 122, 134. So 122 is what we want to worry about for rotation. 20-degree flaps is 1 below 3 o'clock. And we are ready to begin our taxi, so I'll turn on the rest of these lights. And RTO. And start getting flaps down. As we taxi away, slowly moving. Alright, let's get up to the end of the runway here. Everything looks good. I'll just hop outside like normal. We need flaps twice more. I'll remember that as we're going. And we're just going straight out. So let's take off the parking brake. And let's get cracking here. So just some back of the house stuff here. I've been really spending a lot of time tweaking my controls still. I thought I had it. But after my recent poor attempts at landing that beach in our Transcontinental series I have going on, I've had to further mess with calibration and fine-tune all the other components. I can't remember the names of those sliders right now, but there are 2 more sliders that you can adjust. So I've been messing with those for both rudder and pitch because I've been having issues where I pull back on the yoke and I come all the way back and I don't get much response. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. So I've just been playing with that stuff. Let's see, we'll just kind of cheat a little bit here. Like I said, this is my first flights in this aircraft with this version in X-Plane 11. Now that I think about it, my last 727 flight was from Jackson Hole to Denver. Now we're going from Denver to Minneapolis. That's kind of fun. And think of it that way. That'd be a good idea for a series. Take the 727 across something in several large steps. And if you're unaware, we have our Transcontinental series underway, which is going to be a multi-part, multi-leg series focusing on going across the continent of North America, from Los Angeles to New York. In about, I don't know, I think I have 14 to 17 legs planned. We've done 2 legs so far. But then in between, every once in a while, I'll throw in these flights. So that is not just the beach going 181 nautical miles over and over and over. There's something else to do in between. Alright, let's see here. Keep rolling. Let's hop inside here. How are our flaps? So if I got one more to do. Whoop, I didn't mean to do 2. My thing got stuck. And in case you are unfamiliar with the area here at Denver, we are looking due west. So those are the Rocky Mountains you see off in the distance. And the city of Denver itself is straight ahead between here and the mountains. The airport is quite a ways west, or quite a ways east of the city of Denver itself. Unlike Minneapolis, where the Minneapolis airport borders Minneapolis and 3 suburbs, although the Minneapolis airport itself is officially located in the unincorporated township of Fort Snelling. People are always debating if it's Bloomington or Richfield or Minneapolis. Those are the suburbs around it. But it's none of those. It's the unincorporated township of Fort Snelling. Alright, so we'll stop here. We're a little bit ahead of that line. That's okay. Is my parking brake going to work? It did. Now let's get, let's see what else we have to do. Autopilot. Now I used to set up autopilot right now. And then have it ready to go. So then I would just flick the switch. And it would, I don't need those today. I would flick the switch. And it would engage autopilot for me. And I'd set my flight director and everything. But for some reason that hasn't been working in the newer versions. So I have to actually go where I want to go, engage autopilot, and then hit things like auto select and IS hold and stuff like that. So I'm not sure. Like right now I used to come down here and I used to do IS hold and alt select right now, and then I would take the flight director and crank that up between the second and third dash, and then I would just flick autopilot, then it would engage. But now if I touch any of those things, autopilot will engage. So I've had to make a change there. As much as I love general aviation, when I do have a bug to fly a jet and I have an itch to scratch, this is the one I use, and I love this thing so much. I haven't done any flights outside of the US in this though, because it's hard to find VORs and things outside of the US. I'm way off center, aren't I? Darn it, I was going to be all excited to be centered for once. I'm getting used to my new settings for my yaw, for my rudders. We're not centered at all, but whatever. Longer pointing in the right direction. Set parking brake one last time. Come up here, landing lights on, everything is on, yada yada yada. Everything is set there. Flaps are good to go. Autopilot I can't set yet. Let's note the time on the clock. What does that look like? 7. What is that? 7:17 a.m. Alright, here we go. Let's hold the brakes to spool this thing up, although this runway is so long. Oh yeah, I remember what I was going to do. I was going to set heading bug just in case I bumped something. There we go. Alright, so in this aircraft, you take off at 97% N1, not full throttle. So we'll drop back a little bit. There we go. And then once we're taken off and somewhat under control, we will go back to 92% N1. And I'll explain what you're looking for in a minute. So this aircraft is incredibly stable taking off. Airspeed is alive. This runway is so huge. Oh my goodness.
80 knots.
V1 and rotate our 122, which is that first flag.
E1. Rotate.
Okay, let's see if my yoke settings have changed. Oh, much. Oh, that is so nice. I think. Oh, come up, come up. There we go. Do you have positive rate? Positive rate. Gear up. Flaps coming in. I don't know. I had to pull back way farther on my yoke than I anticipated. That's going to take a lot of getting used to. So positive rate. Just come down here. Alt select. That's not going to work, is it? Okay, fine. See, that's that's all changing on me. Let's engage autopilot. What's my autopilot button? Binge. Autopilot. Come down here. Alt select. There we go. So right now we're based on our pitch, and we're based on our stabilizer. So I could put in heading if I wanted to. In fact, why don't I do that? Just so I can show you what I do normally. Now I want to do IS hold, but not too soon. Because if I do it now, we're going to dip straight down and get to 250, and I don't want to do that. So we're just going to keep flying up, keep an eye on our speed and our flap schedule. Flaps are in at perfect timing. Let's have a few looks outside before I have to manage some stuff. Not bad, not bad. So there's Denver there. And there are the Rockies. And let's come down here now and manage some engines while we gain speed. Which one is zoom in? That one? That one, zoom in. So 92 N1. There's 90. There's 92. I'll explain what we're looking for in a minute. Alright, so now let's engage IS hold. We'll dip down for a second. I just want to get some speed, because right now we're climbing so steep. Now we don't need to climb that steep. So it'll level us off a little bit. Then we'll use the heading bug. Or actually, what's our VOR track we're going to follow? 68 degrees. So 60, 76, 68 degrees outbound. So let's turn turning now. So you can connect with that VOR. Once VOR lock comes on, we'll engage VOR lock. Nice wing view there. Ooh, I love my cloud shadows. I've adjusted them. I've adjusted all the SkyMaxx Pro 4 settings. That is so cool. It's a little close of a view for me, though. There's the airport. There's Denver back there. There are the Rocky Mountains. Alright, how are we doing? We'll be at 9,600. So we'll be able to speed up pretty soon, but I'm going to speed up in slow increments so again we don't dip down and speed up. And there is 10,000. We are cleared to 33,000 feet. Take off all of our lights. This can go to off. This can go to off. And let's start speeding up. Like I said, in slow increments, otherwise we flatten out. Looking good. We're going to keep going. I think climb rate in this, a good climb rate is 280, so we'll go to 280 like that. But when I'm looking at above the attitude indicator, you have where it says push to cancel, then all those yellow lights. Once the lock lights up, we can engage autopilot and nav lock. Is there anything else to manage? Let me look at my after takeoff checklist. Whoops, I just dropped my flight plan. Note the time on clock we did. Gear up. Pitch is fine. Speed is fine. Gears off. Auto brakes are off. Auto pack cutouts. I think that turns off on its own in this version. Where are they even? I don't even see them on here. Huh. Okay. What I'm looking for doesn't exist. Alright, fine. So, all we have to do now is just fly the plane for about 2 hours. And, oh, so what we're looking for in terms of... Actually, let me check that VOR first. Still haven't picked it up. Alright, so what we're looking for, if you look at these 6 gauges here, they all have to be in the green. If you use 92% N1, they'll stay in the green. If you go above that, you'll catch fire. People have told me, though, that you really would use N2 in real life, but Jack has his model to use N1. Well, looks like our needle's finally moving. Okay, good. There we go. Now it says lock. Okay. Nav lock it is. Alt is already selected. Okay. There we go. Nice. Good. And we're not going to S-curve either. Actually did that timing right. Lots of clouds. Fun. Oh, so fun. So anyway, after takeoff checklist is complete, autopilot is set, speed is, everything is good, lights, everything. So like I said, all we do now is fly fly the path. In fact, what I'll do this time is right now, I have an image on the screen of what my flight plans look like and my notes. It's just enough that I can understand it. So those are all of our VOR changes. And as I've said before, when we switch from leaving one VOR to going to another one, I do that based on actual airways and waypoints for GPS, and since we don't have GPS or an FMS, I have to calculate the distances and make the VOR changes when needed. So, we've all seen this plane before, and I'm not going to talk for 2 hours. So what we're going to do, we're going to do some sightseeing, and included in the sightseeing, you'll actually see me cut in the video where I'm actually changing some VORs every now and then. I'm not going to show you all 12 or 15 or however many changes I have to make, but that's pretty much it. Also, in the meantime, I have to calculate my top of descent. So I'll be doing that while you're watching scenery, and if there's nothing else to say in between, I will see you at top of descent. Alright, we're about to be tops of descent, but first of all, we are going to do our final VOR change. So I'm going to do my heading hold. And then what are we going to do? We're going towards 115, so we're going to leave at 46 degrees. So as soon as we get station passage, we'll switch back over to nav hold or nav lock. But quite a long trip. We've almost already hit 2-hour flight time, so I'm not sure why we're so far behind. We have another half an hour to go at least. And I've been keeping us at Mach 0.84. So I don't know why my flight time is so much longer than the real flight time. That translates to about 644 miles an hour. So we're not wasting any time, but for some reason we are going to far exceed the 1 hour and 57 minutes that's published. We're at 1 hour 58 minutes right now, so I'm not sure about that, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. Let's do our nav lock while we're holding here. So I think we have our last VOR's program, so we'll do this for 29 miles, and then we'll switch 113.3, and then I'll switch over to 113.3, then I'll switch over 115.3. That's the VOR at the airport in case the ILS doesn't reach out as far as I'm going to go, because normally we would have vectors from air traffic control when we get that close to the airport, but since we don't have air traffic control, we have to fill in that little gap ourselves. We're not doing a GPS approach or anything, we're doing slant alpha, so without vectors it's kind of tough. So we'll take 113.3 in, and then if we don't pick up the ILS, we will switch back over 115.3. Do I keep saying that backwards? Anyway, you get the idea. I've said it twice now. So, top of descent. This is what we're going to do. First of all, we're going to set this to about 300 knots or so. And then we're going to bring this down to 6,000. Like so. We're going to bring back the throttle, come back down here to autopilot and do IS hold, and we'll rearm altitude. And then what I will do is we'll keep 300 knots for quite the descent, most of the descent, but then I will control our rate of descent with the throttle. So if we're going down too quickly, I'll increase throttle. If I want to go down more quickly, I'll decrease throttle. I'm actually bringing throttle back in right now. 1,500 feet per minute is more than enough. Normally when I do this during my practice flight, I'll pick about 150 miles out, and then I'll fine tune that based on my practice, but I have not done a practice. So we're about 160 miles out right now. So that's how we'll do this. And then if I need to make adjustments, I'll just simply slow us down with the IS hold and or throttle, or a mixture of both. And that's how I'll do that. And then if we're really way too high, we can use spoilers, of course. And I put in way too much throttle, as you can see. So anyway, that's all it is. So we're descending to 6,000 feet. Our alt select is armed, even though I can't really tell with the sun. We're using IS hold, and we're going towards the VOR, which is 115, which I can't remember the name. And when we're 29 miles out, we'll switch VORs again. And that's it. So not much to do now until 10,000 feet, when we will play with our lights and things. So that's it. I'll catch you in a little bit. Alright, we're not quite at 10,000 feet yet, but we have a lot to talk about. First of all, this clock. There's something going on with this clock, because when I said we had already exceeded flight time, I looked up at my Bandicam timer, and we were nowhere near the published flight time. So then I thought maybe the clock said an hour ahead, because we did cross a time zone, but that wasn't it either, because that didn't line up with another hour. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but making the adjustments based on my Bandicam timer, we're going to be just about 2 hours. So we're going to be almost spot on the published flight time, so that's great. I want to talk about that first. Also, I was looking at our fuel consumption, and we barely used any fuel. We started just above 5,000 pounds for each tank. We've only used about 1,000 pounds of each tank, so 3,000 pounds out of 15,000, so that's more fuel than we needed. I'm having a hard time here trying to figure out if we're not low enough yet, but I'm not going to worry about it yet because we have to slow down, which I'm actually going to start slowing down right now. We have to be at 250 by 10,000 feet. So I'm going to start slowing down gradually because it's going to bring our descent rate more level for that. But otherwise, we'll keep doing that, and we have our ILS ready to go in terms of the radio frequencies. I have the VR at the airport turned on, so if we pass it, then we know we didn't pick up ILS in time. And we'll use the needle over here to pick that up. That's how we'll know. Well, I guess you can't really tell, but left of our compass. If that goes 90 degrees, we went past the ILS. But that's how we're going to manage that, so we're going to keep slowing down here. Little by little. I just don't want to start gaining any altitude. That takes care of all that. Let's get this ready over here so we can make a change to ILS soon. That's 61 miles. That is to the airport. So we're not very far at all. We've crossed over to Minnesota quite a while ago. But something else I want to talk about is noticing the train change. I was curious how that was going to happen in the flight sim because you're going from the mountains to the plains, to the plains, to the plains of the Midwest. And I wasn't sure what to expect. So there's a period there where you saw farmland like this, but it was brownish. And then you saw like brown grassland, and then you saw this greenish farm. So I thought that was really cool. Anyway, let's go up here, get our landing lights turned on and ready to go. And we'll actually arm our auto brakes now. I'm going to go max this time because last time I landed this airplane at this airport, I almost went off the runway. I don't know if it's the way it's modeled or it was just me. It's probably me. It's probably always me. But anyway, I want to use our gauges instead of doing this visually if I can. So we'll keep our heading bug ready to go so I can make the switch over, I guess. Let's see, how fast are we going? 250. We're descending at 1,100 feet per minute with no throttle at 250 knots. Everything's ready to go there. Spoilers are already armed. Ahead of schedule here. So now it's just a waiting game. We're just gonna cruise along slowly until we're ready to pick up the ILS and turn in. 53 miles. I don't know if you can see that far, but that would make the airport like over that away. As long as we're down at 6,000 feet, when we pick up the ILS, we should be able to catch glide slope. If you remember from landing at Denver, I came in above the glide slope because there's a discrepancy between the sim altitude and the published altitude, so I never caught glide slope. So I had to land manually. And we'll land this manually too, but I would like to catch the glide slope with autopilot if I can. I noticed right away when he started the flight too that we almost collided with a fighter jet. I heard this traffic alert. I'm like, what's going on? I looked down at our neat little radar here, and there's a jet going by. So I looked up, and the little fighter jet came within a mile of us. It's pretty funny. As far as story time goes, I've mentioned previously that for a vacation last summer, we drove home from Denver to Minneapolis in one shot, stopping for the restroom and some food. But 16 and a half hours it took to drive. It's going to take us just over 2 hours to fly. It's a little bit faster to take an airplane. But it was fun though. I had a kid wake up screaming at 3 in the morning when we're just about to cross from Iowa into Minnesota. But that was kind of neat because when I pulled over in the middle of nowhere of Iowa, got out of the car, I looked up and I actually saw the Milky Way for the first time in my life. I'd always wanted to see it, and I usually have always lived in large cities and I've never been able to see it. So that made it worth it, even though I had to deal with a screaming child and a tired family the next day. But hey, plus I could say I drove from Denver to Minneapolis in one shot. I'll never do it again though. I like how we're sitting just below the cloud line. Well, I should know what city that is, but I can't think of it at the moment. I should be able to name every road and city under our flight path here, but I'm just spacing out, but that's okay. Version 3 mesh, of course. Of course, if it were nighttime, we would be able to see the airport from here. Not on this side, though. But this is pretty much what Minnesota looks like in the southwestern part of the state, even though this is automatically generated mesh and terrain. That's what it looks like. There's a road. That must be I-90 down there? No. Yeah, that could be I-90 down there. Just under the wing. 38, man. No, I don't think so. Maybe it is. I'm just watching some traffic fly by us at 8,000 feet here. And then was that set to 20 miles, so that's what, 10 miles away. It's kind of fun. Coming up on 7 grand, and we're 30 miles away. We might actually do it just in time. That is pretty good guesstimate I made back there. Yeah, we're gonna come down right about where I want to be. So that being said, let's see, do we want to bring this down to 3,000 yet? No, not quite. Not quite. We do have to slow down to 200 soon though, so when we hit 6,000, IAS will turn off, and then we will start slowing down about 200. I'll start looking for the ILS. At that point, I'll just use heading hold and then turn on the radio for ILS until we see it. Wow, we're going to be almost spot on. We're going to be within a couple miles. That's amazing. Oh, I'm so happy. But yeah, that clock, I'm not sure. It says we've been flying for an hour and 20 minutes, or 2 hours and 20 minutes, but I haven't even been recording for 2 hours and 20 minutes, plus we had an 18-minute startup time, so I'm not sure. Not sure what happened there. Because if it were a time change, it would say 3 hours and 20 minutes, but oh well. Look at that. Coming up at 6 grand, about to be like 25 miles. That's awesome. Coming over to Lake Minnetonka area, which is why I'm nervous we're not going to pick up the ILS. I'm actually going to bring us in on heading now, because we just don't have air traffic control to guide us, so we got to do it this way. All right, well, we have the glide slope picked up. Look at that. That's nice. Good. Okay, so let's move that down to 200. And we're going to bring this down. Let's see. Is that glide slope moving already? Can we already do auto glide slope? Wow, are you serious? No, it's not moving yet. We'll stay at 6 grand until it picks up that glide slope, then we'll move to auto glide slope. Oh, it is picking it up. Alright, we'll go auto glide slope. And I know that because on our gauge, well, the attitude indicator, glide slope is in yellow. Alright, so maybe this will work this time. Oh yeah, there's downtown Minneapolis. Good, good. I will land manually, but I'll be able to take some screenshots. We're coming over Lake Minnetonka. I'm going to bring us in a little closer. Do I want to come in closer? Yeah, just a little. Just because I want to catch it at about 40 degrees or so. Not 90 like we are now. Good. Move that down to 3 in case something goes wrong. Otherwise, everything is armed, and we're slowing down, so let's see. We've got auto brake set to max because I'm scared. Spoilers are armed, flaps too early, gear too early. We need to do 5 plus gust, so let's see what we got here. Flaps 30, which is second from last, at 129. We're heavy, that's the heaviest I've ever landed. 129 flaps 30 plus 5 plus gust, so 132 or so. 34. Alright. Here we go. First set of flaps coming. Actually, gear will come down first. Then first set of flaps. And introduce fuel, throttle, because it's going to make us fly dirty. What's our next flaps? 190, we can do the next one. And so on and so on. Alright. Looks like... Whoa. Wait a second. Our glide slope... Wait, we want to do what now? I didn't put that in there. 121. I didn't check that. 121. Look at that. About 45-degree angle. Let's go like this, so it's more like 40-degree angle. Second set of flaps. Introduce more fuel. We're below the glide slope. Glide slope is armed. Let me look at that flap schedule one more time. I used to have it memorized. Right now we're at 180. So we actually are a little ahead on the flaps. Let's just be careful. There's Minneapolis up ahead of us. Like I said, we're right over Lake Minnetonka. So we should be catching the glide slope soon. I'm going to move that over even more. Oh, it's not going to follow my heading. It's going to follow glide slope. Never mind. Never mind. So that would mean my transition was pretty good because it didn't correct. That's great. It didn't correct for the approach to the ILS. Hey, that's awesome. Maybe I know more about this than I thought I did. Anyway, spoilers are armed, auto brakes are set to max, landing lights, all the lights are on, fasten seatbelt has been on the whole time. Now we can do the next set of flaps. And flaps 30 is going to be second from the last. Flap 30. We got a little bit more to go. Let's do this next set of flaps. I can tell when the back end sags and we lose out the front, we know we're going too slow. A lot more throttle now. Alright, let's see if we actually catch this glide slope. I hope so. Next set of flaps. We want to approach about the second flag, so we're going a little slower than we want to approach even. And flaps 30. With a lot of throttle. Holy moly. We can go a lot faster with flaps 30, so let's do it. Oh my gosh, throttle is almost full. That's insane. We shall level off here once we get to the right speed. There we go. See how the front's coming down now? We were going a little slow. Stay level. IS should be off. It is. Everything is off. Everything is set. I'm going to slow down a little bit. We're going to gain speed now that we're following glide slope. Going a little bit too fast for the flaps we have out. Let's have them looks outside. All I need to do is manage speed until minimums and I go manual. How's that looking, huh? Over Lake Minnetonka area. We're going a little fast. But we're following glide slope. Let's just hope we turn. Good, so I did it right this time. So that was my mistake. When I flew into Denver was the published height and the sim height were different. And I messed up. Alright, so there you go. Over there you're looking at Mall America. Some hotels. Southdale is in front of us somewhere. There's Southdale right above the P in Pan Am. You can't really make out the airport because it's too hazy, but it's there, I promise. Take a screenshot of that one. Oh boy, gotta watch my speed. Almost went to a deep stall. See that? Gotta be careful. That'd been a bummer to stall now. There we go, now we're getting speed again. It's like grabbing a boat, takes a long time to react. See the nose is coming down now, we were getting close. That would have been bad news. Right over Lake Minnetonka. Airport is right over there. I actually can't even make it out and I know where it is. Huh. I have friends who live in downtown Minneapolis now. And they live in high-rise, either top floor or second to top floor. And it's really cool because when the airplanes go by, they're lower or they're higher than the airplanes on the glide slope at that point. Make sure our speed is okay because we got full flaps out. How much fuel have we burned just in our approach? Not much. Quarter of 1,000, so 250 pounds in each tank. Look out front, you can see Lake the Isle, Cedar Lake, Lake Calhoun, Lake Harriet, Lake Nokomis. This is awesome. Oh, there's a 394, 494 interchange just to the left of our window. How's our speed doing? Now we're getting a little slow again. Long, slow approach. Wrong one. Right down there where that man-made lake is would be the Carlson Towers. I used to work there for quite a while. 13 years I worked at the Carlson Towers. It's a man-made lake. They have apartments on that island now. Watching our speed, watching our speed. This is the approach most often used. I know because I live under the flight path. Yet far enough away that it's not too noisy. I used to live right by the airport under the flight path where you could actually see people's faces look out the window. That was awesome. Loud though. Windows would rattle. Now we're picking up the ILS. Now we should turn any second. Providing my autopilot is programmed correctly. There we go. We'll go right by downtown. Right over, let's see, we're doing 12 right. We'll go right over Lake Harriet. Look at that. We get a nice view of that here. Nice screenshot. And there's our airport. Look at that. Perfectly lined up with the runway. I mean, of course we are. But that's awesome. So up there to the right, we're actually straight ahead. After the airport you have Minnesota River. To the right you have IKEA and Mall America. Over there you have Southdale and some hotels and Eden Prairie Centers. Over that over, I can't see Eden Prairie Center. Well, I gotta watch my speed. Alright, so we'll just follow this in. We could auto land all the way to touchdown, but I won't do that to you. I'll take over at some point and I'll land it at the last second. As long as you remember reversers and everything else is armed, right? Because actually when you auto land this, it lands halfway down the runway anyway, so. Can you see Minneapolis? Not quite yet. Look out into Crystal and Robbinsdale though. Highway 169 and Highway 100. We're still going too fast. Alright, and Flair's armed already. What do you think? Should I just auto land this thing? Nah. Let me get a couple looks outside, and then I'll take over. There you're looking at Bloomington and Southdale, and Eden Prairie Center's back there somewhere. Mall American IKEA, going over Lake Harriet right now, where I proposed to my wife in the middle of the winter. Lake Nokomis is in front of us. Lake Hiawatha, Diamond Lake. And downtown Minneapolis. Don't mind the frame rates though. Going over 35W right now. And what's my autopilot? This one. And we are manually flying, folks. I know, I wait as long as possible. Partly I wanted to do a lot of sightseeing. Oh man, my yoke is all screwed up. I made adjustments. Shoot. I should have not made adjustments before this flight. Doggone it. See how it's moving all around, back and up and down? That's because I have it set to no fine tuning. So it's perfectly linear, which works great in real life. But in a sim, it doesn't work that well, so I'm going to have to change that back. Oh golly. I should not have made those changes before I started the flight. Oh well. I have to change that back. Alright, I'm just going to shut up and concentrate, I think. And I really want to look out the window, but I'm not going to. We did enough sightseeing as it was. Okay, why not? There's that one. Well, that looks nice. Screenshot that. And then this one. Screenshot that. And then quick it up here and see if I'm going to crash. Yeah, we got a little high. Whoops, there goes my yoke again. Come on, yoke. Okay, see, this is a big deal here. Oh my gosh. Jeez, now I see what that setting does. Now I see what that setting does in the calibration screen. Alright, we're going to cross over 62. We already went over my old house. 77 is to our right, but I'm not going to look. Our speed is good. Sometimes I think these aircraft are easier to land than the tiny ones, to be honest. If my track record of the previous couple videos says anything. But I'm going to blame that on yoke calibration, to be honest. Alright. We want to go a little faster than that. And we drifted to the right a little bit. Want to go a little faster. Plenty of runway, although on this aircraft I have a hard time. A little faster. Where's my countdown? 20. 10. Grease it, grease it. Throttle back. Oh my gosh, these yokes. This yoke needs to be adjusted. Grease it. Come on. Oh, come on. Land someday. There we go. Reversers. Oh my gosh, I have to fix that in the yoke. That was not cool. At least I have plenty of runway. I know I landed halfway down the runway, but I couldn't get the fine-tune control I needed to land smooth. We still greased it though, it's just I landed halfway down the runway. Alright, release reversers. I don't have an auto or a co-pilot to help me with that, but we'll come out here. Alright, nice. Flaps can start coming in. Alright, yay. Well, it was nice to see the, oh my gosh, look at all that parked aircraft. Am I going to find a terminal? Oh, jeez. Whoa, what happened to my frame rates? Whatever. Alright, let's stop and get our lights set up correctly since we don't have a co-pilot to help us with that. Alright, let's hop out and see where we're going. Let's see. Alright, there's a couple terminals over there. Actually, let's go over there. Well, it's nice to see how those settings on the yoke calibration work. Now I see why they're valuable, because every tiny bit I'd move would just flap back and forth, up and down. So if I fine-tune it more, then I can move a little bit without it doing that. Our flight time, by the way, was about 2 hours and 10 minutes. So not too bad. I think I slowed down and had my flaps and geared out a little earlier than I needed to, but that's okay. Let's see here. Nice shot of Minneapolis in the background, the skyline. And we'll pull in right about here or so. Let's go there. Set the parking brake. How did we do? Close enough. Nice, nice, nice. Alright, so we will hook up to external power right off the bat here, because I don't want us using the GPU anymore. So we'll do that, and then will this work? I think that'll work. I'll come down here and kill our engines. We can come up here now and turn off the seatbelt sign. And everything else is fine, I think, for now. Yeah, we don't really have to mess with anything right now. Let's see if this airport has ground services. So Shift G. And let's see.
Sorry, we don't have any service trucks here.
Okay, I guess I'm misunderstanding how that works then, because I can never get it to work. Anyway, you can go away there, little error message on top. There you go. Alright, actually, we can kill more lights, I think. Those can come off. That and that. These all come off now, except the logo. Yeah, there we go. That's even better. Good. Alright, it's nice and quiet out here. Alright, well, hope you enjoyed the flight. That is, I believe, the longest flight sim flight I've ever taken in my life. I'm pretty sure it is anyway. But I really enjoyed it. I could have fine-tuned a few things better, but I'm not going to worry about it. It's just a simulator, and I'm not going for a pilot's license. And I really need to spend some time calibrating my yoke. So I'm actually going to enjoy doing that. So that will be cool. Hope you enjoyed the flight. Welcome to Minneapolis, all the way from Denver. If you found my channel by accident, please subscribe. Before a regular subscriber, thank you for your continuing support. Check out the Transcontinental series I have going parallel to these other random flights interjected every so often. And share this with your friends, and I'll catch you on the next one.